Okay, good morning and welcome to another Parish online training session. Now, today will mostly be covered by background building noise, so I'm sorry about that, but hopefully I've tried to soundproof the room as best as I can. This training session is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be compiling some of the common questions that we've had over the last few weeks. We've been asking you for your questions and you've been sending them through. And what we'd like to do is run through them. So let me just move my slides around. So, as I said, this is an Ask Us Anything special. We might start doing a few more of these in the future, but this is a one-off for now. And we'd like to just cover some of the things that you've been asking us, things that we hear a lot. And we'll also do some questions from the commenting section as well. So if you have any questions that are burning that you'd like to ask us now, then send us those in the chat box and we'll go through a few of those at the end if there are any. But we've got some that are pre-submitted, so we can get started with those. Now, as ever, if you're going to be following along at home, then we've got a few tips and tricks for using Parish Online. First one is try and use a mouse if you can instead of a trackpad or on a touch screen. It's just a lot easier if you've got a mouse, especially if you're trying to be quite precise with the things that you're drawing. We don't like Internet Explorer. We're software developers. That's the general theme these days. So try and use Chrome, Firefox, or the new version of Edge if you can. And also maximize your browser. So make sure your browser and Parish Online is taking up the full amount of the screen. That way, all of the tools will be available to you and nothing gets hidden. And also set your browser zoom to 100%. So you can zoom in and out on a tab in a browser, and that sometimes catches people out. So just be aware of that. Okay, we're going to go straight into the questions. And now, excuse me as we do these, because I'm going to be dipping in and out of these PowerPoint slides and into my web browser. So if it's a little bit clunky, I apologise. We haven't done one of these for a few months. So here's the first question. Is there a limit on adding attachments to an object? And the simple answer is no. So that's a nice simple one. We won't move on yet though. Let's put a bit more meat on that because we often get asked what the formats are and how you actually do it. So I'm going to switch over into my Chrome now, and hopefully that's showing for you. Yep, okay. And I'm going to go and log in to Parish Online. So you're going to log in into the right account. That's usually the first trick. No, it's not. It's going to log me into an old one. Okay, let's try it again. Good start. Okay, so I'm logged into my Parish Online accounts, and on the left-hand side, I'm going to switch on one of my asset register layers, and I'm going to switch on the outdoor property and street furniture. And you can see I've got some objects saved down here in the centre of the town. I'm just going to zoom in here, and you can see I've been busy from previous sessions. And I'm going to click on this notice board. It's got the information about the notice board. And if I scroll down, you can see there's a section for attachments at the bottom. So that's what you want to look out for. Let's just go over the structure of this again. So this top portion here is where you've got the information that you've added about that layer, about that object rather. Then the second piece of this is what we call metadata, and that's automatically calculated information about that object. And so you can see you've got some coordinates, who created it, when it was created, when it was edited, and who it was edited by and when it was edited. And we can also change the units for that. But then I can just click this little plus icon here and expand that attachment section. You'll see I need to scroll down a little bit more. And you'll see now I've got one attachment. I've got that little marker that says there's one there, and I can see that attachment is an image. And I've got the option to download that to my computer or delete it. And I can also add a new attachment. So I can click on there, click on a picture or a Word document or an Excel sheet or a PDF, and click open. And depending on how big that is, that file was, it will take a few seconds to load up, and then it appears in your attachments. Now there's nothing else I need to do from that point on. I don't need to resave it or anything like that. It's just there. It's stored on our servers. So there it is. When you close down Parish Online now, that's going to be there available for you. So that's the attachments. It's not recommended to put huge documents in there. Videos, for example. Short clips would be fine, just because it will take a long time to upload those and download them. But yeah, storing things like PDFs for insurance purposes, or whether it's a manual that came with a piece of equipment, you might want to add that in, or whether it's a specific insurance record relating to that object. Or it might be an operational manual. You might have written one up to tell any member of staff how to operate a particular notice board, for example. Then that information can be stored there and readily available for you. So the attachments is a really useful feature, and it's used by a lot of people to get a real view of what that object is all about. Okay, I think I've covered attachments there. Now the one thing I will say is the attachments button has moved. It used to be up in this top portion here, and so it has moved down to that bottom expandable section. So just don't get caught out by that one. Okay, let's switch back to our slides. And let's go to the next question. And it is, the HM Land Registry layer has stopped working. Okay, let's investigate. So the HM Land Registry layer is a freehold parcel of land. So as you can see from the screenshot here, it's representing the whole extent of a freehold property. So it won't be available for everything. So you can actually see, for example, here, there's actually a space, there's nothing in there, which means that's either leasehold or the records haven't come through from Land Registry. But this information here is really useful because it gives you an indication of the ownership structure of this area. It doesn't give you the name and contact details of the person. You still have to go to Land Registry and pay £3 for it, but it's there to give you a really good starting point. And this has saved parishes a lot of time from the feedback we get from parishes. So definitely go and have a look at that, know it's available, know how it works, and that will be a real time saver for you. But let's go back to the questions. So, and for that, I'm going to go back into Chrome. I'm using Chrome today. Okay, so it would help if I, okay, right, got it. So let's turn on, let's go back to a starting point for where I normally start when I log into Parish Online. And I'm going to go and find the Land Registry data. It's under HM Land Registry, unsurprisingly, and there's one layer here called cadastral parcels. So I'm going to switch that one on. And you're right, look, there's a little warning triangle here, and to the untrained eye, that might appear that it's not working. And this is usually what happens. People misunderstand the zoom scaling feature that we have to a layer not working. So if you ever see something that's not loading up on the screen immediately and isn't loading up at all, then first check this little warning arrow. Because what we have to do with some layers is there's so much information that we can't show it all on one screen at one time. And because it would slow down the speed of the software and it would use up a lot of bandwidth. So we limit the zoom scale. So at this zoom scale, when I'm looking at a whole parish area, it's not going to show me that cadastral parcels layer. But let's see what happens when I zoom in. So I zoom in, it's reloading, and I've probably zoomed in to quite a wide area here. And so now it's starting to think about it, and it's going to load that data eventually. There you go, lots of information. And you see how long that took? That took maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds. It felt like a lifetime for me because I'm doing a live video session, but for you, it's going to feel like a few seconds. And that's for this amount of information that it's pulling in. So imagine again, if I was trying to view that amount of information at this level, especially seeing I've got a dense town centre here, it would take a very long time. So this little warning triangle protects you from loading up an obscene amount of data. So let's load right back in here again, and you can see now it's nice and fast. So that's taking just a second or so, if that. And I've got all that information there available for me. And if you haven't used the Land Registry parcels before, then it's an independent layer. So it looks very similar and it aligns to the Ordnance Survey mapping a lot of the time, but it is a different data set. So I can fade down the Ordnance Survey mapping in the background, and that'll give me a better view of those cadastral parcels. I could also switch off the OS layer and switch on some of the APGB aerial photography to give myself a slightly different view. There we go, so that's really useful, especially in village centres, town centres, where there's a bit of ambiguity about who owns what. This is a really good starting point to help with your investigations. Okay, and the final thing is, if you aren't aware of what these numbers mean, these are called Inspire IDs, and we've covered these in previous videos, so go and check that out. But basically, it's a shortcut for you being able to search the Land Registry website. So particularly helpful for areas of large expanse of grass or playing fields where it doesn't have a traditional 10 high street postcode or address. You're looking at something a bit more nuanced, you want to find out what it is, type that number into the Land Registry website and it'll tell you about it. It'll give you that particular title. Okay, we are firing through these. Let's go back to my PowerPoints. Okay, so just to clarify that one, Land Registry layer has stopped working. It hasn't, it's just zoom scaled. We've stopped it from turning on at a certain layer, at a certain level, sorry. Okay, next one. Can I create a map for a planning application? Yes, absolutely you can. And again, this is that parishes are saving so much time using this feature in Parish Online rather than traditional methods. So first of all, let's do it, and then let's talk a little bit about why that's going to be really beneficial for you. So I'm going to switch back into Parish Online. I'm going to reset all my layers and go home. Give myself a good starting point again. Okay, now this is the way that I would create a planning application map. So first of all, I would zoom into the area of interest. Now this might be a residential property, or it might be a temporary application for, maybe some furniture outside a cafe that you want to put in, or whether it's revolving around the closure of roads for vehicle access, which is getting more popular these days. So if you want to do something like that, then this is the way I'd go about it. Now, the first thing I like to do is switch the style of the Ordnance Survey mapping. So we use the Ordnance Survey mapping for this rather than anything else, but using a pastel shaded style, it isn't very compliant with the traditional planning applications. So the first thing I do is, okay, my Ordnance Survey collection is already expanded. What I'm going to do is switch off the standard style, so I get a blank map, and switch on the grayscale style. And you can see now I've got a black and white view. And that's just a lot clearer, and it's going to save you a lot of printer ink if you have to print that out. Okay, now the function I'm going to use for this is the annotate tool. So first of all, I'm going to switch on the annotation layer just to see if there's anything else that I've already drawn in the area, and there's not, so that's fine. And then I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to go to Annotate. Now I'm going to click on New Object to create a new annotation object, and click on Area. So this is where I'm going to be drawing an area around this a particular property. And now I've got a little crosshair as my mouse cursor, so I'm just going to click. I can zoom in a little bit as well, as accurate as I can under pressure with a live demo. You can do this better than I can. I'm just going to do a series of single clicks on the map, and then I'm going to return to the first one I clicked on, and it's going to snap and do one final click, and it's created a solid red block over that area. Now that's fine, and I can always go and tweak it if I want to be really precise, which I do. But that's not a very good style for the planning application map. So actually I'm going to drop the opacity of this all the way down to 0. So it's got no center fill at all. And I'm going to change the outline color to red. And I'm going to change the size of the line width of that outline to something a bit fatter. So I'm going to go up to 6, and yeah, 6 or 7, that'll probably look about right. And then click Finish. So now I've got this red line around that property. And actually, now I think about it, 6 is probably a bit too thick. So I'm going to click on it again and go to Edit, and I can just drop that down to, let's say, 4. So let's go with 4. That looks a bit better. And I'm just going to close the annotation tool now. So that's there on the map. It's a temporary object, so this is saved in your annotation layer, so none of your colleagues will be able to see this. It's just available to you, but it's ready for what you want to use it for. I'm now going to go to the Print tool, because planning application maps tend to be quite simple. You've just got the Ordnance Survey background map and a red line representing the area of interest. So my mapping is done. I'm now just going to go to produce that print. So I'm going to click on the Print tool, and it brings up this area. This represents an A4 piece of paper at the moment, a landscape piece of paper. And I'm going to make sure this is centered. And I'm going to just zoom out a little bit here. And I'm going to set the scale of this to one of these standard scales. Now that's very important when you're doing planning applications, and you're likely to have maps rejected if they're at weird scales. So go and use one of these standard scales. So I'll click on 1 to 1250, and that looks about right. 1 to 500 is also acceptable, but I think that's possibly a bit too zoomed in. So I'm going to go back to 1250, make sure it's pretty central, and give it a title. Application and description. I'm going to leave the description for now, but you can put a description in if you like. It's already pre-selected with PDF, and that's what we're going to produce today. We're going to leave out the legend, but we're going to include a north arrow, and we're going to hide the author, and we're going to leave the toggle mask, the map mask on off, rather, and press print. Okay, so you can see it's come up there as my print ready for me, and I'm going to click on it. That's a little hyperlink, and there we go. I've got my planning application map. So it's got all the copyright information, it's got my north arrow, it's got the date, and it's got that red line in the middle, and that's what people are asking for when they receive planning applications. Now, your computer might be slightly different to mine, but in general, from this point, it's not saved to your computer, it's just a preview. But you'll have some pop-ups on this screen. This depends on how your PDF viewers work. But I've got a download option here or a print option. So because I'm going to be emailing this, I'm going to download this and save it to my computer, full of all the other rubbish I've put on there. And there you go, save to my download location. I can get rid of that. And that's done. So that is the simple way of producing a planning application map in Parish Online. Now, at the moment, that is the best way to do it. And if you've seen some of the news stories recently about the changes to the planning application process, then over time, we are going to try and build in functionality to make this a lot easier. So when you draw that feature, it will actually send it to the local authority directly. That's the cunning plan. But for the time being, this is the system we've got. So that's the process to go and use. Now, one very important thing here is what I've just done is I've used my PSGA subscription, my license for the PSGA, which gives me access to the Ordnance Survey mapping. And I've used Parish Online that I've got a subscription to. And I haven't had to pay anything else. That has been a completely free process for me from that point, if you ignore the Parish Online subscription. So it means that you can use Parish Online for this to produce your planning application maps without having to go to other services who do dedicated planning application maps. Now, the reason for that is they are charging you for the use of the Ordnance Survey mapping, whereas you have a license to the Ordnance Survey mapping, so you don't need to pay for it again. So one of the benefits of Parish Online, whatever the subscription price of your Parish Online subscription is, you can get real-term money back from using this as the process for producing your planning application maps. Because why pay for that Ordnance Survey mapping when you've already been given it? You've already got a license for it. So we've had parishes who use this, and if their subscription is less than £100, over the course of a year, depending on the number of these they do, they could pay that pays for the cost of Parish Online itself. So yeah, planning application maps, really easy to do in Parish Online. Go and use it, and don't use those paid services. Okay, I've waffled on about that for long enough. So let's switch back to our next question, which is, how many people can I share Parish Online with? Now, obviously your meeting looks like this on the left-hand side. That's probably the National Security Council. The answer to that is as many people as you like. Now, there are a few caveats to that. So if you are going to share your Parish Online account, firstly, don't. Create a new user for them. So when you get given your Parish Online account, when you sign up to Parish Online, do not share that username and password to other people. That's a really, really bad idea. And it's caught people out in the past. The best way to do that is to log into Parish Online and create a new sub-user for them. And we'll go through that process. But to answer this question is there is no limit. But again, the caveats are that they should be part of your parish council, so part of your organisation, and be using Parish Online for parish business only. So you cannot give a Parish Online account to one of your councillors and then they go and use it to plan their walking holiday. That is not a valid use of Parish Online. So what I'm going to do is go back into my account and show you how we would create a new user. Now, if you've fallen into that trap before and you have shared your username and password with colleagues, then the best starting point is to change your password. Now, it might seem a bit mean, but that is going to highlight the people who genuinely need access for it, because they're going to get in touch with you to say, why doesn't my username and password work anymore? And your answer to that can be, well, I've changed it for security purposes, but I can happily give you a new user account. So to do that, again, I'm still logged into Parish Online from my previous exercise, and I'm going to go into the top right cog and click on Administration. And after a few seconds, the default view here is showing all of your layers. But on the left-hand side here, you've got a menu item called Users. So if I click on Users, then it shows me who's got access to this Parish Online account. And I've got things that I might want to put some notes down about that I've forgotten about, or I've got some users who are no longer working for us. I might want to have a bit of a clear out. But you might only have your admin username here, and that's fine. So to create a new one, I'm going to click the little plus button here, and it brings me up a new window. And again, another tip here is don't create one like this. Don't create a username which is just counsellor at your username, because when you come back to look at your list of users, how are you going to remember who this is? You might put their name in here, but on first impressions, counsellor is not very useful. So make sure these are named users. So create a new one. And you could put in the department's a bit of a funny box, but you can use their role, and that will be helpful for you. Put in their email address. And then you can choose what type of role they're going to have. So do you want them to have full admin access just like you do? And if you have full admin access, then they can go and create new users themselves. If that's fine and valid, then you need to give them a talking to make sure they know the rules of how a Parish Online account should be used. But we've got admin, data manager, editor, and reader, and we've covered those in other sessions as well and in our knowledge base, so we won't labour those today, but go and have a look at those. So if we wanted someone to be having access to Parish Online but not do anything, I would set them as a reader, and I'd click on Create User. And then I get this pop-up. Do I want to send them an email? Yes, I do. So what I want to do is this will send them an email with a link for them to create their own password. That's a very secure way of doing it, because you then don't know their password and you haven't had to email it to them. So they can do that themselves. So you can click Send Email, and that would have pinged them an email. Now, the one thing it hasn't done is it hasn't told them what their username is. And this is deliberate, because what we want you to do is talk to this person and tell them why they've been given Parish Online access and what the limitations of it are and what you want them to do with it. Do you want them to just have a look? Do you want them to help you on something? Do you want them to be an editor and edit a particular layer? Go and tell them. The communication there is important, because otherwise they're just given something new and shiny and off they go and use it without understanding the rules. So you would then need to go and tell them that their username is dave@24ub999 or whatever your username is. And that's the structure for our usernames. If Dave leaves us as a counsellor, then I can simply delete him and he will no longer be able to log in. So a really easy way of controlling your users and knowing who should and shouldn't have access. Again, as I said at the start, if everyone's using this one admin account, you've got no control. So make sure you create named users, and there's no limit, so you can create as many as you like. Okay, I think that covers that. Let's go back to my PowerPoint. Let's see the next question. How do I change my billing details? Oh, that's a really boring one. Okay, that's fine. That does actually come up quite a lot. So say, for example, a clerk signs up to Parish Online. They put in their home details rather than the office details, or you might not have a parish office, and so an address was used there, but it's no longer valid because you're now the clerk and you've taken on responsibilities, but it's still got the old person's address. So that does happen, and then when we come round to send out our invoices, it's got that old address on it. So there, a lot of the time you can send us a support email to do that, but you can actually do it yourself. So let's switch back into Parish Online and have a look at that. So I'm actually already in the admin panel, so that's useful, but let's go back just to remind you all of how we got there. So from logging into Parish Online, I'm going to the cog and administration. And then on the left-hand side, we've got billing. So I'm going to click on billing, and it gives me the information about my renewal. So this is really useful. We often get asked this as well, when's my renewal date coming up? We've got the renewal in here, and it shows you what your annual subscription price is. Now, on the right-hand side, we've got information on your address. So all I do to change this is click on the edit button and go and change this to my neighbours and save that. And that's all you have to do. So that will filter down to our invoice management system, and that will be the address used on your bill for the next bill. If you've already been issued a bill with the wrong address on it, then you'll just have to get in touch with us using a support ticket, and we can change that for you. Okay, that was a nice easy one. Okay, let's switch back. Have we got any more? Okay, I'm a BHIB council's insurance customer, jolly good. Why have you invoiced me? Okay, so this happens a little bit recently. So if you're not aware, BHIB Council's Insurance have kindly offered to pay for your Parish Online subscription if you use their insurance policy. So that's fine, that's great, and it's a real cost saver because BHIB are pretty competitive in the first place, and if you factor in the cost of Parish Online as well, that's a huge cost saving, particularly important in these times. But you're right, it does happen where you've got a parish who's a subscriber to a BHIB policy and they're a subscriber to Parish Online. But they're on different schedules in terms of when their renewal is, and the BHIB deal is for new policies. So that's usually where people get caught out and get in touch with us. So that's where this question would have come from. It's completely solvable though. So I think what we've got here is a little example. Now this is meant to be a timeline, so it's deliberately cut off on the left-hand side. So say, for example, you're currently paying for Parish Online, and this block here represents 1 year of Parish Online subscription. And you're also paying for BHIB Council's Insurance as a policy. And again, that represents 1 year and another year, but your renewals are different. You've got different times for your renewals. And you are not getting Parish Online free because you haven't signed up to a new BHIB policy. Now I'll come on to a few things there. So the process to get Parish Online for free is to contact BHIB and ask them to renew your policy to a new 3-year deal. So that's the catch with this deal, is BHIB will want you to start a new 3-year policy. That's a good thing because they can reassess what you've got and give you a competitive quote and build in the cost of Parish Online. So what they would do is, even if your Parish Online subscription is halfway through, and even if your existing policy is halfway through, or to a certain extent, what we'll do is reset. So this is today. We will reset to a new 3-year BHIB policy. And for that, you'll get your free Parish Online subscription as well for those 3 years. Now, you'll notice there's a bit of a hangover here. So we've got a hangover of Parish Online subscription that you've already paid for back here. What we'll do with that is, because we're lovely, we will credit that over to the end of your subscription. So if you've got outstanding credit, essentially, if you decide to move away from BHIB, then you'll have this outstanding credit available to use up after that free period has finished. With BHIB, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I'm sure they pro-rata it or they organise something there. They're very lovely people. And the other question we get a lot of the time is if you're not currently a BHIB policyholder, if you've got a competitor's insurance policy. So you want to get advantage of Parish Online for free, but you aren't currently using BHIB. Well, what you can do is go and talk to BHIB and say, look, my policy is coming around for renewal in the next 11 months, for example. So sometime later in the year, next July, for example. If you commit to them now, then you can run through your existing policy with whoever your supplier is, and then you'd commit to your 3-year. We will cover, between BHIB and Parish Online, we'll cover that period between now and July for Parish Online as well. So you're not just getting 3 years of free Parish Online, you're getting 3 years and a bit. So we want you to start using Parish Online, to start building up your asset register, to start using it and benefiting your parish council. But we don't want to put you off by saying, okay, we'll wait until next July, and then you forgot and you automatically renewed it with someone else and it's all terrible. So we will cover certain amounts of the year up to your next policy renewal. Hopefully that makes sense. Sorry for the terrible PowerPoint there, but that's what we've got. Okay, just on the BHIB policy, it's been running for just over a year now, and it's been amazing to see the people using it and taking advantage of it. And the cost savings are actually very impressive. So at this time of the year, while everything's a little bit uncertain, what are the rates going to be like for next year? We're going to have to. Oh, sorry, I just realised that I was on the wrong slide. That's really embarrassing. Let me recover that one then. We'll cut up my voice. Sorry about that. Scrub, start again. Live video. My mistake, sorry. Okay, let me explain this, the quick version, because you've just heard me wanging on about it. So you've got a Parish Online subscription. This represents 1 year of Parish Online. This represents 1 year of BHIB policy, and they don't align, and you're paying for both of them. A BHIB policy is for, we'll get a free Parish Online subscription with a new 3-year policy. So basically what BHIB do is reset your subscription of Parish Online and BHIB and set you onto a new 3-year path. And as I said, I'll do the short version this time. That's really good because you get the benefit of reassessing your policies, making sure you're not over-insured or overpaying, and looking at it again, and you get free Parish Online. If you paid for Parish Online for a portion of that year already, then we will throw it onto the end of your subscription. So you'll have that credit available for you at the end. Okay, and what I was just saying was, yeah, we've been amazed to see how much it's really helped parishes, especially when budgets are uncertain coming up over the next few years. So yes, definitely go and talk to those guys. They're the people to talk to. We can't do anything about your Parish Online subscription other than send you an invoice until we get confirmation from BHIB that you're part of their 3-year new package. Okay, and I think that's all we've got. It's probably going to go to black screen now. Yes. Okay, so let's take that back to the beginning. And I'll just now wrap that up and say thank you for being with us on this session. Sorry for messing up the last question. We'll recut it and put it onto YouTube for you. so you can actually see it and make sense. But yeah, we'll leave it at that, and we'll look forward to the next session. If you've got any other questions, then please do get in touch with us if you want them covered in a video, or if you would like them covered into the knowledge base, or you just like an immediate response, then drop us an email or use our support ticket system. Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for your time.